As a result of this silver constraint, prices in China have soared. Along the way, we'll go over what transpired and how it will influence the global silver price in general. Indeed, silver prices are on the rise, and I believe that the current situation in China is contributing to this. I've said it before, but we should keep an eye on China since the country is the hub for many of the industrial applications of silver, and I believe what we're witnessing today is contributing to it. Oriental Ghost is one of my ex-followers. I've mentioned him before. He recently shared some fascinating news. As has happened numerous times in the past year or two, the silver price is beginning to separate. Typically, there is a gap between the world price of silver and the Shanghai Gold Exchange price that he posts from the Futures Exchange and the Shanghai Gold Exchange. However, the most recent report that he has posted is from the end of the month, and the gap has actually shrunk. However, the raw silver price has reached an intriguing point, even though there is still a small disparity there. The only way I can explain the current activity there, and the raw silver in particular, is that there are 15 of them in a single bar in China. We all know that a business requires a lot of silver, and right now there's a scarcity of these, I assume, contract-size bars or something like that. People are stockpiling them. What's going on there is that silver has more than 10,000 applications. Now I'll tell you that there are a lot of different kinds of pricing that come to mind when we consider the price of silver. A couple of pennies here and there might shift within the spot price depending on who's reporting it, but the far larger move is creating an arbitrage situation in China. Right now, the silver spot price in China is significantly higher than what's happening in the US, where most dealers will publish slightly different prices. Take a look at Summit Metals, where I have friends, sponsors of the channel they are. Be sure you know where the silver price is going to land before making any purchases from Summit Metals or any other precious metal company based on what I'm about to tell you or any information you hear from this channel. My pals at Summit Metals are well versed in all things silver, not just its price, so be sure to visit their website. You may find the link in the description down below. So I'm going to incorporate a couple of posts from Oriental Ghost, because this is so interesting. The raw silver price was around $52 and change in the video I did not long ago, which you might recall. It has been raised to $56.79 as of the most recent report on September 30th. That is an astronomically large rise. It seems to have originated from news that was leaked by Silver Slayer within this community. I'll explain what it is about and provide some background later on. According to his post, Chinese investment firms are discussing how exchange-traded fund, ETF, businesses in the country have nearly halted trading and how premiums have been increasing at an alarming rate. Amid rising demand for futures exposure, China's Huxia Silver Exchange traded FundLink, a fund announced that new subscriptions would be suspended starting September 30th, 2025. That is to say, all new subscriptions will be cancelled. On October 1st, 2025, the global spot price of silver reached $47.40 per ounce, marking a 50% gain from the start of the year. We know that this is because of the industry-wide shortages that have persisted for the past 5 years. But the reality is that physical delivery premiums in China caused by 30-day backlogs have driven up prices to $100 Oz. There may be no sudden increases in global silver prices, but the current bull run could be intensified due to supply bottlenecks, backwardation, and state-level stockpiling in Asia. And keep in mind that this is just one facet, but the events unfolding in China are crucial, which is why I follow this account. He's deeply involved. What he said after that post, that listed business Shengda is secretly storing 10,000 tons of silver, has sent its stock flying to its daily limit, and is fascinating. These corporations have been secretly purchasing silver, and Xingtong is infamous for hoarding 20,000 tons of the metal for 20 years. Some are keeping tabs on the shortages and stocking up while they can, so they can keep some of their trades running smoothly. Because of this build-up and these individual transactions, we have observed that, and I find that extremely interesting. Furthermore, it is a state-linked buyer. I mentioned on this channel earlier that many Chinese state-run companies import unrefined silver, which is traded in ounces, but is actually refined there. Raw silver is already refined, but it's in bars, not in its final form like this silver coin. In my opinion, this can only be good for prices, or even bad for silver buyers. But it does mean that prices are likely to spike even higher due to this new kind of squeeze. Now, I don't know what version of squeeze we're on right now. I tell you what, some people say this is a silver squeeze 3.0, but there's been a lot of dot releases in between, but likely this could lead to a wider situation in terms of holdings of silver, in terms of the pressure on the market, and that is what has led to that raw silver price going up too. Because the supply constraints, and China is the place that does a lot of manufacturing there. So when you have about 26,000 tons and annual mine output support theories of strategic stockpiling, that could trigger price spikes by draining Western exchanges like the COMEX. And we talked about that before, how some of these trading with these prices arbitrage opportunities is going to lead it to move, in a sense, to what they could open up in Singapore, Hong Kong, and other places in the East, essentially rendering the COMEX and LBMA worthless in due time. I think that's kind of that's goal, if they can do it, is taking power away from them, at least to some extent. At least it is right now, especially if there's a depletion that we've started to see even more and more over there. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But nonetheless, that's what's happening here. And, the high-tech supply chain. And it's easily posted as well. And there's no silver preparation. Even if the price increases, it's got to be bought. Otherwise, we'll all come to a halt. People who think the price of silver will drop to $35 again. He says that, realistically speaking, the price probably won't drop below $35 anytime soon, if ever again. I've been predicting that for a while now, and who knows when that will be. Until we can magically make silver appear likely, we'll save a consolidation pullback, and the price will be normal. But I don't see it falling below $30, even in the worst case scenario. After reading this and considering other factors, it becomes clear that there is a lot of evidence supporting this. If that is the case, then China's role as a major silver producer and its ability to boost production could lead to a price drop to $35, $36 per ounce. I'm not sure I buy this analysis, but I'm curious to see how it unfolds. Regardless, it's fascinating news about China and the current events there. The important thing is not the $100 premium, but the raw silver price. There are a lot of factors that are bullish for silver, so I don't see how this will affect the market. However, I do think that this will contribute to higher prices in the future. Silver Slayer discussed this in his video data, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm a little bit late on it. There's so much going on in the world of precious metals, it's hard to keep up with all the latest news and happenings. But let me know what your thoughts are about this news about silver in China, and where do you think it'll normalize anytime soon, or do you think it will get worse? It seems like it could get worse. If it does, I'm going to report on it here, but again, I don't think it's $100 silver price, but I think it's related to at least what they're saying here. It has to do with the premiums and delivery premium in China, and backlogs are increasing now, a month long. rather than a couple of weeks. That's big news. So let me know what your thoughts are. I like to bring you the latest news in the world of precious metals and analysis. So if you enjoy what I do here, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. And I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe. This was transcribed using turboscribe.ai. Remove this message by subscribing to Unlimited.